Live from our 7 Tasmania studios, your nightly news with Kim Miller begins now.
Good evening and thanks for joining us. Well, Jeremy Rockliff is in the box seat to become Tasmania's 47th Premier when a leadership ballot takes place tomorrow. Political allies Elise Archer and Michael Ferguson are now battling it out to become his deputy.
It was only yesterday Jeremy Rockliff made his ambitions clear, and by tomorrow he will be Tasmania's next Premier.
I'm very excited about the opportunities ahead, and it's a party decision and I respect that process.
Just days after Peter Gutwin announced his shock resignation, Tasmanians are already welcoming his deputy into the top job.
I think Jeremy would be good as Premier. He's probably the most likeable candidate and seems pretty capable.
I find him to be a truly genuine person. I find him quite engaging.
If he's willing to fill that space, then we can only sort of see how he'll do with that.
As rumours began swirling Michael Ferguson would become his main challenger, the member for Bass today confirmed he will instead nominate to become second in charge, touting himself as a deputy with energy and loyalty, offering an experienced hand. But his main ally has become his clear rival, as both vie for the same title.
It's really interesting that the two people in the Liberal Party caucus room who were teaming up for leadership and deputy leadership last time are now at each other's throats for the deputy leadership position.
Just recently, the Liberal frontbenchers were forced to apologise for groaning in Parliament to a question asked on behalf of a child abuse survivor, leaving some questioning if they demonstrate the attributes of true political leaders.
They both seem like a bad choice when you look at it from that point of view.
With less than 24 hours until a new leadership team is chosen, experts say whoever becomes Jeremy Rockliff's deputy will need to help rebuild the party's image and deliver the stable majority government Tasmanians were promised at the last election. Just who will be given the honour is up to the party room tomorrow. Ainsley Kosh, 7 Tasmania News.
A Tasmanian police officer has pleaded guilty over a crash which killed a New South Wales tourist in 2020. Aaron Tasman Bonner was on duty when his police car crashed and collided with 2 pedestrians in Launceston CBD, killing a man and injuring his wife. Today in the Launceston Supreme Court, the suspended officer pleaded guilty to dangerous driving causing death and dangerous driving causing grievous bodily harm. The case has been adjourned until May 6. Vulnerable Tasmanians can now begin receiving their 4th dose of the COVID-19 vaccine. The state government says around 150,000 residents can access the shot. Those over 65, aged care residents, Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders over 50 and immunocompromised Tasmanians are eligible for the winter boost. Tasmania's daily COVID numbers have fallen slightly to 2,365, with 1 person in ICU. Environmental groups are calling for a halt to logging across the state until an issue with a decades-old legislation is addressed. The state government says it will fix an administrative matter with the Forest Practices Act by introducing validating legislation when Parliament resumes. The Greens claim that's an admission that Tasmanian forests have been illegally logged for years.
To continue logging Tasmania's forest would be a crime. Not just a crime against nature, but illegal by our law books.
The issue won't be addressed until Parliament sits again in May. Until then, the government says logging should continue. Australia's state-of-the-art icebreaker has officially wrapped up its maiden Antarctic season, all while keeping COVID out of the icy continent. The RSV Noyena has now returned to its home port of Hobart after uncovering a number of scientific mysteries below sea level.
From battling icy blasts in below 50 degrees Celsius conditions, expeditioners sift their way through low-level snow.
The last year has actually been very exciting since we took delivery of the ship in the Netherlands. Since then we've had a very busy program of getting the ship ready to go to sea.
On board their game-changing mode of transport, technological capabilities have allowed for the exploration of polar science like never before.
The highlights of this season, discovering an underwater mountain and an underwater canyon never before mapped.
With the Antarctic season drawn to a close, the RSV Noina has docked in Tasmanian waters.
The main focus, I believe, on the ship has been to give science every opportunity that it can to do the work that they need to do.
But more voyages await. $44.2 million in additional shipping capacity will allow more time for Southern Ocean research,
Which will effectively free up the Noina to pick up, continue and advance its scientific work.
Despite federal budget papers revealing a reduction in climate change spend, the government believes it is combating the issue.
The investment in this ship is directly related to the climate science that Australian scientists do.
The ship is now preparing for its next journey to Singapore tomorrow, where it will undergo maintenance before making its way back to Hobart for the next Antarctic season.
It's got an extraordinary capacity to get further into the polar regions at much later in the year or deeper into winter.
Opposition parties are concerned about ongoing funding commitments.
In less than 2 years, our world-beating science community with all their collaborative projects will have no funding left for their program.
Grace Evans, 7 Tasmanian News.
A Launceston shopfront has been shattered after a ute smashed through it last night. The owners spent the day cleaning up and say it's fortunate no one was hurt.
This isn't the way Garth Robinson wanted to spend his Thursday morning, picking up the pieces from last night's shop smash. The co-owner was shocked when he saw this footage on his phone.
One of my daughter's friends had said, there's a ute in the front of the shop, so I opened the cameras and sort of looked and went, yeah, there is.
He raced down to the Mulgrave Street news agency and takeaway to see the shop front shattered around 7 p.m.
They basically took the front door, the whole front window, or 2 front windows that were here, punched a little hole in the ice cream fridge.
Fortunately, the ute stopped there, narrowly avoiding the counter. The owners say it's lucky no one was inside the store at the time of the crash, after closing up only an hour earlier.
Could have been a different story because we would have still been in trading. So, I mean, it could have been people coming across the road or someone standing in the shop.
Police say a silver SUV collided with the tray of a white ute, causing the ute to lose control and crash into the store. Both drivers suffered minor injuries. The business hopes to be back trading by the weekend. Letitia Wallace, 7 Tasmanian News.
Hobart is now among some of the top cities experiencing the biggest growth in house prices. The waterfront city has been ranked 4th out of 150 locations in Knight Frank's Global Residential Index. It has seen a 33.7% increase in a year. The state opposition says the new data only highlights a crisis in Tasmania.
The housing crisis in Tasmania is going from bad to worse. This data shows us that the median rental price in Hobart alone now is $532 a week, which is astronomical and unaffordable for many, many families.
A number of factors have influenced the latest statistics, including an influx in interstate buyers escaping lockdowns. Federal Labor is promising to invest $2.3 million into the Brighton municipality to deliver 2 full-size soccer pitches, club rooms and other facilities.
In the event that an Albanese Labor government is elected, to be able to deliver on this very important commitment for Brighton. This has been asked for by the community, and this is about Labor delivering for the community.
We know that with a better facility, with better change rooms, better lights, better amenities generally, that they'll be better able to do that, and we'll see continued growth in what is the most popular team sport in Tasmania.
Council will also chip in $1.1 million to bring the project to life. Well, pressure is on politicians to back a new convention centre able to hold 1,000 people in Launceston. Business leaders say the upcoming federal election is a chance to build a venue which can match the capacity of Hobart's Federation Concert Hall.
The north of the state misses out on its share, and because it doesn't have a facility capable of hosting larger events.
We've been locked up for such a long time, and we need to get out and do things in person again.
Upgrades to York Park were also on the agenda at the annual luncheon between tourism business leaders. Bonang Wildlife Sanctuary has joined a network of national veterinary clinics to expand its research across a number of animal diseases which have the potential to impact humans and the environment.
It's very important for us to determine what's happening in a population level in Tasmania. So the funds provided by Wildlife Health Australia mean that we can do just that.
The Wildlife Health Australia program allowing Bonang to investigate wobbly possum syndrome and help track the health of wildlife species. 4 sites across Launceston, rich in history, will welcome visitors through their doors next month as part of the global open house phenomenon.
It is something that happens in probably about 50 cities around the world, so it's really amazing, and the idea of it is to bring people into architecture.
East Launceston's Georgian-style Claremont House, which was built in 1842, is one of the historic homes taking part. Tailored performances by Tasmanian artists will be held as part of the program.
The artists have been really carefully chosen to match the architecture, and the idea is that we're going to be elevating the architecture and the artists and creating a really wonderful experience.
The event is a collaboration between Junction Arts Festival and the Australian Institute of Architects and will be held from May 6 to 8.
The State League's 2 biggest off-season signings will go head-to-head when Launceston travels to Kingbra. AFL stars Jackson Thurlow and Kieran Lovell will try to keep their side's unblemished start to the season intact. Those wanting to see Jackson Thurlow last weekend were left longing. He was one of 16 Blues players out with COVID.
We're treating it as a 1-week injury, and in the past it's been 2 weeks with a bit of unknown.
Thurlow, Joby Harper and co return this week to take on Kingbra in what should be a far closer contest than rounds 1 and 2.
Obviously there's a little bit more hype around this game because Lonnie are the 2-time reigning premiers and we've started 2-0. We've had a really promising start.
The league's former Easy Beats now have potent precision in its goal-kicking ranks. Tyler Carter booted 5 against Clarence and the returned Kieran Lovell will test an as-yet unchallenged Blues.
It's sort of that 80-20 rule, concentrate 80% on us and be very aware of the things that Launceston do well and try and take away what they want.
And if the Blues do manage another blowout, Mitch Thorpe won't be tempted to manufacture a closer contest.
Not at all, mate. No, we're in the business of winning, so we'll prepare as strong as we can to try and have a really strong performance.
Meanwhile, this week's COVID calamity is centred on North Launceston.
We're just unfortunate that it's most of our top-end age players, so Jack Event and Nathan Pearce will be out this week with COVID. I think if we looked at our best 22, we're probably missing 11.
Their win over Lauderdale on the road was a tipster's nightmare. A tough assignment too for Clarence's new coach in just his 2nd game.
It's a bit of a new era, new president, new coach. We're trying to go down a new path in terms of building the club.
Quick footy is expected between the young sides at UTAS. Defensive powerhouse Matt Kenyon has put pen to paper to sign on for another year with the Tasmania Jack Jumpers. The contract extension will see the popular guard suit up for the 2022-23 NBL season. A fan favourite in his own right, the club says it's thrilled Kenny will be back on deck.
Yeah, my mind was always on Tassie really at the end of the day. They gave me an opportunity when no one else did, and I'm really thankful for that, and I'm really happy here, so I can't ask for much more.
He stepped to the plate all season and just worked his tail off, and he deserves a chance to come back here and continue to grow with us, and we're very, very fortunate and happy to have him back.
Averaging 4 rebounds a game, he's been a leader in the inaugural side, while also establishing himself as one of the best defenders in the league. Meanwhile, Matthew Wade has locked in a deal to play in the 100, the UK's new 100-ball tournament. Birmingham Phoenix snapped up Wade for more than $200,000. Riley Meredith was the other Tasmanian to lock in a deal, joining the London Spirit for just shy of $130,000. Hobart's Nathan Earle has repaid the faith, winning the final stage of the Tour of Thailand in his first outing with new Japanese team Ukyo. Earle has been with the team for 2 years, but closed borders have kept him at home until now. He also won the Tour's King of the Mountain. And a Tasmanian boxer trained by the legendary Jeff Fennick has won in his professional debut. Tyler Blizzard came out in ferocious fashion against Daniel Harwood. Weighing 55 kilos, the 24-year-old knocked down Harwood in both the first and second rounds.
Blizzard has good ones, including that left hook. Oh, wow. 2 left hooks, the second was huge.
The fight went the distance, the Tasmanian winning by unanimous decision. Blizzard had spent 5 years out of the ring before announcing his comeback late last year. And what a comeback it was, Kim.
It looks like it. Thanks, Tom.
Good evening. 24 was the state's top in Launceston today. Hobart 21, a top of 19 in Burnie and 18 in Devonport. Bushy Park 22, 20 on King Island, a top of 19 on Maria Island and Lowhead 18. The satellite pictures show patchy cloud over most of Tasmania, although the northwest coast remained mostly cloud-free throughout the day. An area of extensive cloud over New South Wales and eastern Victoria associated with an upper low, while cloud associated with thunderstorm lies over inland Queensland and far northwestern Australia. The rest of the continent is mostly cloud-free. Tomorrow's chart shows the high pressure centre to the west of Tasmania has collapsed and a cold front has reached the southern coast of WA. East to northeasterly winds of 15 to 25 knots through the Bass Strait, variable winds of 5 to 15 knots over remaining waters, south to southwesterly winds of 1.5 to 2 metres in the west and the south. A top of 21 in Hobart tomorrow, Huonville 22 and sunny in Campania, partly cloudy in Launceston, Devonport 19 and 22 the top in Georgetown, Burnie partly cloudy, mostly sunny in Strawn and 19 in Wynyard, partly cloudy in St Helens, Swansea 19 and sunny in Port Arthur. Turning to the 3-day forecast, showers about the northeast and northwest on Saturday, increasing about the western tiers in the afternoon, fine elsewhere. Sunday, showers about the north, extending to the west early in the afternoon and most remaining areas during the afternoon and evening, 23 in Launceston and Hobart 25. Monday, we'll see showers contracting to the northeast during the afternoon and evening, a top of 18 in Burnie and 16 in Swansea. Partly cloudy in Cairns tomorrow, rain and a possible storm in Sydney, Adelaide 27, sunny in Alice Springs and a top of 37 degrees in Broome. And right now in Hobart, it's mostly cloudy and 15, Launceston mostly clear, also 15, and Devonport clear and 14. That's all for today, Kim.
Okay, thank you very much, Victoria. And that wraps up tonight's bulletin. Enjoy your evening ahead. For now, on behalf of the entire team, good night.